Now, the latest breaking news.
1:30 right now, taking a live look from Tavares, where the Blue Rhino gas plant had an explosion a little after 11 o'clock tonight. News 13's John W. Davis is joining us right now near the scene on the phone. And John, you recently, just a few minutes ago, spoke with the public information officer from Lake County, and he has some updates for us. What did he have to say?
Joel, he really had a chilling update for us. He told us that 24 people were inside the plant at the time of this explosion. And then he told us that 15 people are still unaccounted for. He told us they know 7 people were hurt in this, and most of them were airlifted to various hospitals in this area, some to Gainesville, some to Orlando. Some were able to drive themselves to a nearby hospital. And he also told us that 2 people were able to just escape the plant, just walk out of the plant or run out of the plant at the time. But another thing that he told us that just really stood out to me, he told us that 53,000 20-pound containers or barrels of this gas was inside the plant as recently as a few days ago. Joel?
John, we're taking a live look right now from Sky 13 of the fire, and what we've been mentioning is this giant plume of flames and the giant plume of smoke. Looks like it has really diminished in the last 40 minutes or so. I know when you arrived, you said there was a lot of smoke. What are you seeing right now?
From my vantage point where I am, I assume I'm about a mile away from the plant right now, and I cannot see the smoke from where I am. And I'm not exactly sure if that's because my elevation is a little lower than the plant, but I can tell you that I have heard that it has died down, because earlier in this point you could see the flames high in the sky. You could see that huge plume of smoke. Granted, it is pitch dark out here in this part of Lake County, but still people were saying that you could see this for as far away as Leesburg, and people were saying they could feel it as far away as Leesburg. So this is a scary situation for this community. They have a chaplain out here talking to people who were able to make it out of that plant. So that's 2 out of the 24 that were just able to walk away with no injuries. 7 injured, taken to various hospitals, and then 15 unaccounted for right now. And the fire department, they're trying to put out this fire and search for people and things like that, but they're just still trying to fully get a hold on the magnitude of this plant explosion, Joel.
All right, News 13's John W. Davis joining us on the phone right now from Tavares. John, thank you very much. We'll check back in with you in just a little bit, just to update the people who possibly are staying up with us right now or even waking up. We want to update you that we are following breaking news out of Lake County. Fire officials confirming there were multiple explosions at the Blue Rhino gas plant in Tavares. That is along County Road 448. Everyone with right now within a half-mile radius has been evacuated. Earlier this morning, that was about a 1-mile radius, but as crews are getting a hold of things, it seems like people are slowly being allowed, they're reducing the size of that radius. You're taking a look from Sky 13. The giant plume of smoke, the giant column of fire, looks like it has died down a lot. You're seeing a wide area, kind of a vast area of the smaller fires that are currently going on. 7 people injured, 2 men taken to ORMC in critical condition, those being from burns. People heard this explosion from as far away, 6-7 miles from as far away as Leesburg. As I mentioned, a half-mile radius right now in terms of evacuations. They're going to assess that at 6 o'clock this morning, just over about 4.5 hours from now, when it becomes daylight, as to how big this explosion was. But fortunately, it does look like they are getting a hold of things. Just a little while ago, you saw the fire trucks. You can see the fire trucks in the background a little bit, some damage right there because of that explosion. But the fire trucks had the quints. There was a lot of water getting in control of this massive fire. And as John was telling us, 53,000 20-pound tanks exploded at this Blue Rhino gas plant. So quite a sight to see after it first happened. We received calls just after 11 o'clock. Around 10:30 last night on Monday night, 911 calls started coming into dispatch centers. The fire is contained right now. As I mentioned, initially a 1-mile radius around this explosion. Fortunately, The closest home is about 3/4 of a mile away, so a pretty rural area, benefiting those who may be concerned about how close this is to their house. No injuries reported from the surrounding neighborhood. No danger to residents at this point, which is a good sign as crews continue to get a hold of this. We're now being told 3 people have been brought to ORMC. 2 of them we know can confirm that they're in critical condition because of those burns. Of course, we have much more on our website at cfnews13.com. We've been talking to people who saw this firsthand. We talked to a gentleman who's from Palm Coast, vacationing in Tavares with his girlfriend, who thought fireworks were going off, grabbed his cell phone, went ahead and filmed what was going on. We also talked to a gentleman who knows this firsthand, knows what is going on, working in the gas company. That was Jim Farrell with Farrell Gas. Here's what he had to say a little earlier about this explosion and what he's experienced in the past. Take a listen. We have been following this story since just after 11 o'clock, when actually at 10:30, when dispatchers in Lake County received some phone calls. We're taking a look at some video from Sky 13 earlier. Quite the fire earlier, to say the least. We have more video at our website at cfnews13.com. A very impressive fire and explosion that happened at the Blue Rhino gas plant. Fortunately, the nearest house was about 3/4 of a mile away, so not necessarily a very populated area. However, there are evacuations. Fingers crossed, crews are optimistic that they will be lifted at about 6 o'clock. We're going to check in right now with News 13's Natalie Tolomeo, who is joining us from the area where a lot of these evacuees are joined early this morning. Natalie.
Yeah, Joel, we're here live from the United Methodist Church here in Tavares. This has been the evacuation center for all of the residents to come to, but breaking details to update you. I just learned this minutes ago. That evacuation has now been lifted. So all of the residents here inside the church, they're able to return to their homes now. Again, we just found this out literally minutes ago, and joining us right now live is Jim Russell, the American Red Cross. Jim, you got out here just after midnight and set up camp inside, offering all these residents shelter, and you actually heard the explosion yourself. Tell me about that.
Yes, I live not too far from here, and a little after midnight heard some loud noises outside, walked out, and the sky was all lit up and lots of explosions. So being with the Red Cross and disaster services, I knew sooner or later I'd get a call, so we started reacting right away, and we were able to open the shelter in a very quick amount of time and get these residents a place to go.
Was the chief there, Richard Keith of Tavares Fire Department, giving a live news conference. Let me break this down for you. They're going, as we show you live pictures from Sky 13, I'm going to talk about the people, and then I'm going to give you the latest on the fire. When it comes to the people, he says 36 years in fire service. He's never seen anything like this. He said everyone who was in that plant, 24 employees at the time, has been accounted for. No deaths so far, so that is great news. Let's talk about the fire. 60 firefighters were battling this thing. It happened at 10:30 last night. The fire is out, but he said that he could see in the distance, and you're looking at it now, there's a little plume of smoke there. He says he's going to go check that out. They're trying to coordinate how the news media, is going to get closer and actually get a tour of the damage as soon as they allow us to get in there. Trust me, you will see it here on News 13. 8 people were injured, some were airlifted. Again, all the employees were accounted for, and this is a very delicate situation. Of course, State Fire Marshal will be investigating what possibly caused all of this, but again, the very latest is that the people are in the hospital receiving treatment, and the fire is out. Keep it here on News 13 and our website, cfnews13.com. We'll be right back.
Right now, still many concerns about last night's huge explosion at the Blue Rhino plant in Lake County. More than 50,000 gas canisters exploded late last evening. This is Sky 13 video of them littered all around the Tavares plant. And many of those flaming tanks actually hit homes and cars. 8 people were hospitalized, 4 of them severely burned. We'll take you to the hospital where some of those burn victims are right now. We're going to hear from a family who actually had a flaming tank fly through their wall. But first, News 13's Kelly Cook is getting answers about what sparked this explosion. Kelly?
OSHA found a serious violation here back in 2011. They say it was a faulty air nozzle. Management fixed it right there on the spot, but we found out OSHA has not been back since. But as for what caused the explosion that happened here last night, officials are thinking it was either human error or a problem with the equipment. The orange flames that filled the night sky in Tavares Monday has now been replaced with cleanup crews. Thousands of these 20-pound canisters filled with propane gas exploded. In the aftermath, crews found another issue. One of the three larger 30,000-pound tanks was leaking.
Apparently, sometime during last night's early morning's explosion, that one of the tanks probably were hit with the flying debris.
That tank was drained and the materials inside hauled off site. 8 of the 24 workers inside the plant at the time of the explosion were rushed to area hospitals, some in critical condition. The Blue Rhino parent company Ferrogas spokesman says that many of those workers were likely refurbishing cylinders or loading them onto pallets and vehicles at the time of the fire. The town mayor, Robert Wolf, says on a typical shift they would fill 4,000 to 5,000 canisters with the gas used in home grills.
I believe there's around 50 to 60 people employed here, so for a small town, that's a nice industrial operation.
It's unclear when the plant will reopen, but a spokesperson from the company says they are bringing in equipment from all over the country to minimize disruptions.
Like the disruptions we anticipate will only be in the Orlando area, and as early as tomorrow we should be back up and running with very little difficulty, so folks can keep grilling with confidence.
After the 2011 violation, OSHA did not inspect the facility in 2012 or 2013. But now they've opened an investigation into the explosion that rocked this tiny city late Monday night. Today, the FBI, ATF, and local officials were out here investigating to find out exactly what happened. Reporting here in Lake County, in Tavares, Kelly Cook, News 13.
Tonight we're hearing from a family whose home was hit by a flying canister. As News 13 Saul Signs reports, the tank burned right through their wall. Saul?
This is about the size of the canister debris which crashed through the roof of that house. Now, the homeowners were not home at the time. They were a few yards away, able to see the explosion and the aftermath. Part of the gas canister burned right through the home Diane and Herbert Welder were hoping to move into.
Yeah, it's amazing they didn't catch it on fire and burn it to the ground, because it went right through the roof and melted into the carpet.
This new home and another home are just a few hundred yards behind the Blue Rhino plant. This is where the couple and their children were staying when Herbert says the explosion shook the floor.
Saw the tanks blowing up in the air, and it sounded like bombs going off. And when they go off, it sounded, you could hear them zinging through the air.
We stood straight up and ran outside, and everything was like bright orange. It was like daylight. You could see everything.
The heat was unbearable when I come out my front door.
The welders say they saw the ball of fire rising 100 feet in the air, and through that ball of fire, canisters like these were shooting through.
Yeah, you could see like a red ball going up through the smoke, and then it'd come out and it'd just glow, and you could see it shoot off for a little bit, and then it'd kind of go out. And when it went out, you couldn't really tell where they was landing,
Now, the home is so new, it is not insured against disasters like these. I want to show you something. Those are 2 canisters which landed in front of the home. Homeowners say that if Blue Rhino does not move, they will. In Tavares, Saul Signs, News 13.